Well, here's my latest album ranking video. Another dear favorite. That would be William Broad, aka Billy Idol. He's gonna be 65 this year. It's like one of the first, like the original punk, like one of the first, because, he started in the 70s with Generation X, and, I always liked it, but I'm going to rank the albums. Not a big collection. I don't even have the full collection. But he's got 7 studio albums. He's got numerous greatest hits and like a Christmas album. But I'm sticking to studio albums. And 7 of them, which I have 6. So we should get to that. Okay, so first up on the list is Cyberpunk, issued in '93. Interesting album. Nothing really jumps out at it to me though. There's no Steve Stevens in here, which is a big part of Billy Idol. Steve Stevens, kid from Queens, New York. However, this album was released in '93, and it was like the first album to have a floppy disk, and it's the first album to come with an email. So it was good. Innovative concept, definitely. Music, okay, it's not horrible. It's just not one of my go-tos. There you go, number 7, Cyberpunk. Interesting concept, though. It's worth a listen, Then number 6 would be his 2005 return after a long. That was the album he released after Cyber. It was like a 12-year break. I think he did a soundtrack for Speed, the song Speed, Sandra Bullock movie. Reunited with Steve Stevens, not bad. Some good songs. Evil Eyes, pretty good. It's actually what's playing now. Lady Do or Die, Summer Running. It's got some solid tracks on it. It's Billy Idol. It's pretty cool. It's okay. Next up, I have his 1990 album. This would be number 5. Charmed Life. This is a pretty big album when it came out in '90. It had Cradle of Love, which was a big song, really big song. Pumping on Steel is really good. He did the LA Woman cover. It's good. There's a few good songs on here, but it's not all. I liked it. Pumping on Steel is probably one of my favorite. Prodigal Blues is a really good one. Cradle of Love. License to Thrill. Solid album. Definitely solid album. Number 5. Number 4 was his most recent, which I had just gotten, kind of just listened to. The Kings and Queens of the Underground. Kind of an introspective album he did a little bit. It's with Stevens again. Good. Really good album. Eyes Wide Shut, Kings and Queens of the Underground, Ghosts in My Guitar, Can't Break Me, Save Me Now. That's like vintage Billy Idol, that song. I really like that song. This is number 4. Good album, good comeback. What was that? That was like a 9-year break from that. Now it's been 6 years. I'd like to see him put some stuff out, We'll see. Number 3, 1982's debut album, Billy Idol. Okay? Classic album, classic 80s album. Lots of stuff on here. White Wedding, of course, Hot in the City. Hole in the Wall, which is my favorite. Love Calling. Dancing with Myself. Okay, Dancing with Myself was originally released on an EP called Don't Stop. And it was also part of Billy's first band, Generation X, with who's the guy's name? Tommy James, I think. Something like that. Anyway, classic album. Great album. This is when he first hooked up with Steve Stevens. Wrote some good songs together. Not sure who produced this. Produced Kevin Flaherty. Now Keith Forsey was another dominant person in Billy Idol's life. He also wrote he wrote some songs on here with him too. But anyway, Billy Idol, number 3, 1982. Now this might shock a few people. Number 2 album in his canon. 1983's Rebel Yell. Now, classic album from start to finish. This is the expanded version. It's got some unreleased tracks on here. This is when Billy Idol truly became Billy Idol. He was all over MTV. He was huge. I saw him for this album. I saw him at the Ritz in New York City. One of my favorite clubs, mind you. I don't think it's there anymore. But fantastic, start to finish. And the reason I put this at number 2 is that, it's just a little overplayed. Not the deeper cuts, mind you, but, of course, Rebel Yell, Eyes Without a Face, Flesh for Fantasy. Catch My Fall, not so much, even though it was the 4th single from the album. The Dead Next Door, Do Not Stand in the Shadows. Blue Highway is like Companion Piece to it's like Rebel Yell Part 2. Number 2, Rebel Yell. Love the album. And then, of course, to me, this is just vintage. This is Billy Idol. This is what Billy Idol's all about right here. Whiplash Smile. This is when he started to believe his own hype. This album I bought like the day it came out. I just happened to be in a village, stopped at Bleecker Bob's, saw the album, didn't even know it was coming out. I was like, whoa. Love the album cover, the color, the copper, and the platinum. It's cool. Everything's cool about it. World's Forgotten Boy, Great to Be a Lover, Soul Standing By, Sweet 16, which is Man for All Seasons, Don't Need a Gun, and one of my all-time favorite songs, One Night, One Chance. Great stuff. Number 1 album came out in 1986. Also saw him at Madison Square Garden. See, there he is with Steve Stevens. I saw him on this. I saw him on this tour also at Madison Square Garden with the Cult opening up. The Cult opened up. I remember I had 3rd row center tickets, and it got canceled because some asbestos or something fell out of the ceiling at Madison Square Garden. So that same night, the Cult went to the Ritz and played another phenomenal show. The Cult were touring behind when this came out in the fall, so this would have been in 87. It was the spring of 87, so the Cult's Electric album. So I didn't see him till the fall of 87. Yeah, this was cool, man. What a good show. This was some hot stuff, man. Fantastic. Love it. Only saw Billy Idol twice, but I'd like to see him again. I'd like to hear some new music from him. There you go. 1 through 7. Number 7, Cyberpunk. Number 6, Devil's Playground. Number 5, Charmed Life. Number 4, Kings and Queens of the Underground. Number 3, Billy Idol's debut. There you go. Number 2, his most famous album to date, Rebel Yell, and of course, Charmed Life. Show you some little pictures here, little inserts. Pretty cool. His biography's a good read too. I suggest you go read that. That's pretty interesting stuff. Talks about New York in the 80s. Bygone era. Times that will never return. But anyway, there you go. Billy Idol ranking the album.